Hello, good afternoon.
Just us so far, huh?
Yeah, so we're a little bit early. I feel like people typically tend to pile in right at 2 o'clock. I like to start just a couple minutes after. So I'm just gonna kind of shut down my video and my audio for a hot second. I'm gonna go fill up my water bottle and I'll meet you back here shortly.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I think.
Hey, friends, we're going to get rocking and rolling in just a few minutes. Get comfy, grab your red books, and let's get ready to wrap up this series together.
Now that I've got my trusty water bottle, good to go. I'm so happy, Brooke. I get to see you twice in one day.
2 times. I was saying that earlier. I'm like, I don't even know if she knows I'm on MREA today.
Oh, I sure was hoping. Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because I feel like
Happy afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I think this is our last session. This is our wrap up session of our MREA series. And we are so excited you are with us. Mary, I will be dropping off that book next week to you at the Market Center. No problem. If no one's there, I'll put it in your mailbox or I'll leave it at the front desk for you. You're welcome.
Jen, I saw Jamie, Jen, Wednesday afternoon, so I told her that we were talking online. Great.
Awesome. She was just down here with she was just down here in Rhode Island on my birthday a couple weeks ago. And it's just always fun to be, she's just so much fun. That's all. Who's that? Camerata? Love her. Yes. I will tell you this. She has been an inspiration to me in my career over the past year, and having her on our calls on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the mornings has been just tremendous. It's been a godsend for me. So I've told her that plenty of times, and I will toot her horn as long as I'm alive. Well, so
all right, so I've thrown the links to the workbook and our Growth Call Facebook group in the chat. So if you do need a copy of it, it's in there for you. But today is all about putting it all together. And there's some gold. But what I would really like to know before Krista and I dig in is, what have been some of your biggest ahas, or if you have one big one? I would love to hear your MREA aha. How are you sideways? How'd you do that? Go ahead, Mary.
Well, I think what I found, this course has helped me to see how others think and how the successful producers think. And I have found that each class, sometimes it's only one major thing, but I take one major thing away from it, and I pretty much have implemented it. It's been helpful. So that's been very nice for me.
That's excellent. That is excellent. You know, there's no way you can go to a class and implement everything. It's impossible. It's impossible. That's why I'm so big on the 1% better every day. What is the one thing you're going to take from this class and implement it and be accountable for it, right? No matter what we're bringing to you, whether it's a database class, accountability, whatever it is. I'm just so glad when you take something but you got to implement it, right? You got to take action. Jen's word, action. So thank you. Anybody else? Oops, let me show my ringer.
Yep. Sorry, somebody just popped in. Sorry about that shouting.
That's okay.
Yeah, I would love to hear somebody on page 291 when we jump right in, they talk about the 5 simple steps. I would love to hear somebody share their experience on one or some of those. Whether it's number 1, create a personal plan and make your process to process your focus, time block to get your focus, get accountability to keep your focus. I'd love to hear somebody share how they've been implementing that either in their life or in their business.
Well, Krista, I could share with you that I fought this for a very long time. I'm not sure if I'm like anybody else on this call, but these 5 simple steps, they are simple, yet what I find is we like to overcomplicate life in many different ways and directions. And I fought it hard. I thought I could do it my way, but Frank Sinatra knows how to do it his way. I don't know how to do it my way. What I learned from this was that if I just simplify and follow some simple rules, things happen. And the little things become big things.
They do.
I love that.
They do. And so this one book, so I put a check mark at the back of my book. That was something Dave Jenks told me to do back in the day. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This will be my 10th time reading this copy. And every time I hear something different for where my world is at that time. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I feel like, everybody's life is so different. However, we're all really the same in the fact that we do so much every single day. Life changes very, very quickly, sometimes and all the time. So wherever you are at that point in your life, you're going to receive this information differently. We have agents that have taken Bold 17 times. They sell 50 million in real estate. So do they need the help? They know what they're doing, but they're receiving the information differently just based on where they are at that point in their life. And, that's why I really love specifically this chapter, this segment of this book, because it reminds us we are lifelong learners. We are always going to be students of the industry, really in business and in life. And I really love that because we don't ever know it all. And things are changing so rapidly. So I love that, Brooke. You're on number 10, you said?
Yeah, this is on this book. This is my second MREA. The first one I did not have spiral bound and I destroyed it. And I probably had 4 read-throughs on that one. But yeah, I put a mark in the back of the book every time I finish it front to back, like through and through. And my poor book has highlights and different color highlights, and some are fading. There's writing, there's sticky notes. Like, I know I saw Jen's this week when I was visiting, but mine is a hot mess. But it's the story of my MREA journey with you guys, because sometimes you guys say things in these that I'm like, whoa, I need to write that down. That's big. That's big. So you are teaching the instructor as well with what you guys are saying. So yeah, any other big ahas before we dig into some of these wrap-up steps? Go ahead.
Almost. There, I just wanted to unmute. Well, I wanted to share one thing. I don't say too much very often. I just take notes and take a lot in. But I wanted to share one thing that I had started last year and have kept it going, especially this year, that's been extremely helpful to me, is I meet with a team leader, and he had me, I got my big book, and he had me do goal setting to the now. So when did I want to start cutting back work? And I've been doing this 30 years. And I mean, I still learn like all of you do all the time. And I'm always taking classes and always trying to stay on top of things. So I did goal setting to the now, 2027, because that's when I really don't want to be working a whole lot more. And literally did every year backwards, but then concentrated. Like I said, I did it in 2021 is when I started all of it. And take every single aspect of writing it, everything down, what I want to do, categorizing it, putting it all together. And then I meet with him once a month and I go over everything. Where am I having difficulty? Where do I need to make changes? You know, that type of thing. And then after that, I take myself out to a very nice place, a nice restaurant in Portsmouth before I head home. I do that every single month. I make sure that I make my reservation at the restaurant a month in advance. I make sure I make my appointment with the team leader, and I put all of it in here. And I can't tell you, when I went back and I reviewed all of 2021, it blew me away, the goals and the accomplishments that I had set, that I had accomplished. Things that I put down that there was no way in hell they were going to happen. It was completely, like a dream for me, and literally did them all and put it together. Where I didn't have a lot of checks, where I didn't have a lot of things, written down, was in taking care of myself. And I did okay, but I didn't do great there. So this year, I did all the same thing. I'm working on it, but really concentrating a lot there and doing the exact same thing. And it's amazing to me. I mean, I can remember 5 years writing down a goal, putting it right up on my board. I could see it where I put it on my board, and I laughed after I put it up. That's never going to happen. There's no way. I could never do that. I did it last year. Now, it took me 4 years to get there, but I did it last year. And it was incredible. And like I said, my meeting with my team leader to hold me accountable, writing, I carry this book with me. Sometimes I take it when I go out someplace, I'm sitting in a restaurant having a coffee and I'm going through all of it. That has been the most helpful thing to me. My MREA book is a mess like all of yours. I'm going to get another one. I'm going to bind it. I've read it. I write in it. I highlight it. I change things. Every time I read it, I get something new and different out of it. It's just incredible. So I just wanted to share, just to share that when you think that, you can't do something, write it. It has to be written. You have to have someone to hold you accountable and tell people and share it. Get your little circle of whoever it is, what you want to do, and believe in yourself. That's it.
You are literally living the sentence at the top of page 292. Number 1, create a personal plan and then make process your focus. You're living that every single day. That's incredible, Darlene. I'm really proud of you, because it's not easy to do, right? It would be so easy to wake up and be like, it's snowing, it's cold, I'm tired, I'm going back to bed. I'm going to call my team leader and tell him we'll meet next week instead. You're doing in the work and you're putting in the effort, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
That's why you're making so much butt.
I know, but please understand. I mean, I have those days where I can't get out of my own way. I can't do, I just can't. I don't. I lose it. But it's like, okay, you can do this. Let's refocus. Go back and read. Go back and what are your goals? I canceled a trip. I canceled Mega Camp for September. And I was at the meeting. We had the meeting at the restaurant for the All Partners meeting. I brought my book with me. So I'm sitting there going through my book while I'm waiting for everything to start. And I saw it and I'm like, oh, I can't believe I did that. I immediately texted someone. I'm at Mega Camp in September. I already said I wasn't going. Now I'm going. I've got my ticket. And I put the deposit on the cruise, the real estate cruise for January 2023, because I had it in my book, but I backed out of it. And I'm like, no, you can't. You've got it. You know what I mean? It's just, you're seeing it always in your face.
Everybody's allowed to have a bad day, but don't make it a bad habit. You know, life happens to us every single day, and it happens at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So like, yes, everybody's going to have a day here and there where they're not 100%, but it's when you make it a habit is when it starts to get scary. So yeah, let yourself feel bad for yourself for a hot minute and then shake it off and keep moving.
Yeah, we got.
I just want to commend you on sharing, because you said you don't usually come off mute. So thank you so much, because I think a lot of us on this call just heard you and just felt that story. So thank you so much for sharing. And I also wanted to say you did create a habit, but it was the right habit and a good habit. So now it's kind of awkward for you if you didn't do that process, right? So if you didn't have your book and you didn't check what you were doing. So I just loved it. So thank you so much for sharing that.
I want to just real quick read this one sentence on page 292, because again, you're living what it's telling you to do. It says kind of halfway down the page, an amazing truth is that process brings focus even when we ourselves feel unfocused. So to your point, you carry your book around with you so that when you start to feel unfocused, you can open it up and refocus yourself, because your plan is right there. Your process is right there. So to refocus yourself, it's as simple as opening up a book and reading a couple of pages, right? I love that.
And you wrote it down. So you put power to the words on the page, which is huge, because a lot of us, you know, I don't know. I came from a world where we didn't talk about financials, goals, personal goals. You hit a metric or you didn't. And that was it, right? When you come from big corporate sales. So I love that Keller Williams has all these tools for us, or even if it is just writing in a notebook, to get those goals down, because sometimes we also forget to celebrate the smaller wins along with the big wins, right? I'm big on talking about celebrating in-betweenies. What do we do to get from the beginning to the end? We don't celebrate enough of the in-betweenies. So those are huge to me. And I bet you if we were to look through that book, you would see so many in-betweenies that got you to the big goal. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. On that page, Krista, I have highlighted seeking mastery is a process and a path, not an event. And it's so funny. Can you imagine if we treated our children or those we're trying to teach how we treat ourselves every single day in the moment of learning? Oh, you couldn't tie your shoe today? You are worthless. Right? That is so, we would never, well, I hope we wouldn't speak to our children like that as they're creating worlds where there's mistakes happening and they're not getting the bunny loop on the first try, or maybe it's 3 months till they figure out how to ride their bike. But man, if we could see ourselves how we speak to ourselves or the frustration levels, mastery is not a one-time, I'm going to go to this class and I'm going to learn and that's it. And I'm a master. Like I got this. I got the piece of paper. It says it right here. I'm certified. I'm a certified lunatic most days. I'm not a master at any of these things because I'm continually learning. So I just want to make sure that that's out there, because sometimes we get so frustrated with ourselves because we do aim high. We do have lofty goals. Go ahead, Heidi, I see you.
So our cells eavesdrop on our thoughts, bold law, and also our ears hear whatever we say. So we can't ever say, oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, that's so stupid, because we're just further cementing that into ourselves. But also I wanted to also mention that, like, I took one of my biggest weaknesses and my goal was to turn it into my greatest strengths. And that was to not really keep my head in the sand about like finance. And so a couple of years ago, I started really just meeting with somebody regularly who's like a mentor to me, and meeting with some other financial people like wealth managers, and listening to Kathy Manchester's Working on Wealth. And then I ended up buying a multifamily, and I ended up buying into a business, and I'm working on passive income. And I just like, ended up happening, but it wasn't a sudden event because I had to learn about, well, what are my goals? When is, just really try to figure it out over time. But I put some time and some grit into it, and
I love
it's
that
starting
word.
to happen.
I love that word, grit. If you don't have that written down somewhere, write it down. Grit is something I think agents have, but they don't always like to talk about it because it doesn't feel luxurious or like a part of real estate. But man, do you have to have grit to be in this business? So that's awesome. And I don't think another place helps the people within grow like that. Right? You don't talk about your personal financial health with your bosses, at your other jobs. Nobody cares about if you're in your home, if you are, working on passive income. Are you having a great life? Are you financing the life that you want right now? And man, even I feel that every day, right? Even where I am. And I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is huge that you are taking what you perceive as not a strength and turning it into your strength. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's talk about some of these 5 things that they have on 291, because we've already been through a few of them just in our ahas talking about it, but it's create a personal plan and then make a process for your focus. Right? So how many of you did not have a 411 or a GPS or a 135 or a plan before? And now how are you? Do you have some, bye Jen. How are you now? Are you getting there now? Even if you've started the process of writing down my goal is, you don't have to go anywhere else.
Mine's so inconsistent. And the things that end up being like really big goals that I don't want to forget, I'll put them in the 411, but I keep forgetting to look at the 411. So yeah. I don't have the habit built yet, but I have the structure of it built.
So time block it. And I know that sounds like such a silly thing. Put an alarm on your phone. So that way, the first thing you do when you get into your office or you get up is part of your scribe or your reading. If you do Miracle Morning, is read my 411. What are my goals today? Are these still in alignment with who I am and where I want to be? Because we know our lives change. I had a son who was like, I'm not going to college. I don't want to do this. And then all of a sudden he's like, I applied, I got in, I'm going to college. And I was like, well, things change, don't they? Thanks. Guess we're doing that now, right? Like things change and we're allowed to change our goals and realign them. Accountability is huge too. Darlene, you said you have a team leader. Are you with Jeff out there? Is that who you're with? Jeff D'Angelo? Wonderful. How many?
And I don't miss it for anything. Before, when we're finished, I'm walking out the door. We're scheduling for the next month. And I missed one meeting in 12 months last year. And that's when I started it. And I truly wished I had done it. The big thing is that, Heidi, I love, what you were saying about, not reaching out and talking to people and ask them for the help. I'm tough, I'm strong, I can do it all by myself. I'm independent. I've always, that's what I tell myself in my head, but I don't know it. And I'm always afraid to reach out and to ask for things because I'm tough, I'm strong, you know what I mean? And to be able to reach out and say, I need help. I can't do this. I don't know what this means. I don't know how to put that together. And that's my new thought process now, because I can't do it alone. And I don't understand all of it, especially the financing and investing in this and that. And I have goals to buy 4 more properties. I love what you say. And you change it. And the 411, if I can say one last thing.
Yeah, go for it.
I was doing the 411 as well, but I wasn't reading it. I was doing it, but I wasn't reading it. And I have to touch it, feel it, see it, change it, scribble on it. And that's when I started the book. So it's my 411 in my book. And that was extremely helpful for me personally.
So grab one of those journals that's collecting dust, because I'm that person. I see it at Marshall's and I'm like, pretty, I'll use it. And then it sits on that it's sitting there. I've got this gorgeous stack of books here, friends, that are just stunning journals that are empty and become great gifts for people down the road. But that's great accountability. So if you're not doing those things, time block to really, and it could be just a couple minutes. One of our former assistant team leaders had alarms set up that said, remember, you're doing it for my girls. Like, so he was reminding himself of all the activities he was doing during the day. An alarm went off to tell him, you're doing it It may not feel like it, but you're doing it. He had all these different motivational things that would pop up during the day on his phone to remind him. So he'd see it on his watch, or he'd have it on vibrate, and it would come up during the day. And I just love that. Accountability can be difficult. Don't go to your friend that is going to make you feel good no matter what you say. I'm the type of person who needs a punch in the head, not a hug when I'm not doing the things I'm not supposed to do. Like, accountability is a difficult thing. Krista, no, I don't know if we were in the accountability group together. How many of you are like, I'm going to work out, I'm going to stretch, I'm going to do yoga, I'm going to do something to get my heart pumping and feel better about myself every morning, 4 a.m. I'm going to get up, I'm going to do it. But don't, because we get into a 66-day challenge and at the end of the day, we're not doing it for the right reasons. Has anyone ever done a one thing coaching session? They're fantastic. I had a one thing coach on for our Market Center tech trainers, and the man made me cry. And that's a very difficult thing to do, because he helped me dig into the psychology of a 66-day and getting into the right behavior. So I wanted to wake up and work out in the morning. So my 66-day challenge on the board was wake up at 4 a.m. and work out every day. Well, I failed miserably because I wasn't getting up and going. And he's like, no, your 66-day challenge should be to go to bed by 9 a.m. every day so that you can wake up. You've got to keep going backwards and backwards. My lead domino in that was, I needed to figure out how to make my accountability work. And then after that, I had a friend texting me every night at 8:40, and he'd say, are you getting ready for bed? Yep, great. And if I wasn't, I was getting ready for bed and going to bed. Because it was important for me to get up and do my miracle morning, including the exercise. I just couldn't get there lately. So it was that accountability partner and having a real clear 66-day challenge. And now my 66-day challenges are so much more fun too. I'm not like, here comes another round of 66-day challenges, people. Because I'm like, what is this 66-day crap?
I love what Heidi just put in the chat. My one thing above all one things is to get enough sleep at night. That should be everybody's priority. I feel It is life-changing. So I had put together a book club. We meet Friday mornings. It's on the book, The Happiness Advantage. And so much of what we talk about, it's incredible. I would love to see you all there. This is not a pitch for that. However, there's just so much of that book that coincides with a lot of this. And when you're able to put yourself in a good mindset, in a positive emotional space, I could go into like scientific study after study after study after study. And so much of that hinges on having enough rest, being well rested enough to even be able to call yourself out and say, I'm not doing the things that I should be doing, or whatever. It's such an interesting book. And I really would say, I hope everybody on the face of the earth reads it. It will be life-changing for so many people. It was for me. It was for a lot of my friends and my family and my coworkers. And it really does start with very simple things like that, Heidi. Just sleep, just go to bed at night. And
how do you get there?
So many different steps that you can take, like, you shouldn't eat for 2 hours before you sleep, and you shouldn't be on a screen for 2 hours before you sleep, and all of those things. But it really does start with something so simple like that. Just go to bed.
Right? I know, but go to bed. And then that was another 66 I did. I wanted to be in bed. I wasn't able to hit that thing. So I figured out I was working too late, right? Like, so my 66 was be done, work absolute by 7 p.m. Nothing I'm going to do after the time of 7 p.m. is going to change the world or our world. I can't put fires out. I can't get businesses to pick up, and KWI is asleep. So everything can, and it took me a long time to get to that point, because I'm also a workaholic and I'm out making classes and doing creative stuff. So,
a lot of realtors are in that same space though. We get addicted to work. When I was in production, I will tell you, I was the first one to stand up and say, hi, my name is Krista. I'm a workaholic. I had a problem. I would get home from work and I was so excited to pull out my laptop and start working again on the couch with a basketball game on mute in the background, because that makes sense.
Yeah.
To give yourself permission to cook dinner at 7:30 is a bizarre thing to go through. But I feel like as realtors, you chase the business and you chase the business and you do everything that you can every single day to get another deal and get another deal and get another deal. And you don't want to miss one. And I respect that and I appreciate it. And at the end of the day, your family is going to leave you. Said with
my
love.
family's happier now that I'm done. And it's hard, right? My husband's in school full time. He's a paramedic. He's gone overnights. My youngest is in bed and asleep by 7. So this is me creeping off to do some work and getting excited about it. And then I was like, nothing, right? And so that leads off to our energy plan, right? How are we taking care of ourselves? So we've got a plan, or we're working on getting a plan. We are going to have time blocking to help us, even if it's something as silly as an alarm. I talked about this morning on our happiness advantage call. My husband is like, you have to get up, you have to stand up, and you have to breathe for a minute. I'm like, that's great. So we found an app that tells me to do that. And that's part of taking care of myself. As something as small as my watch is going to tell me to breathe for a minute, not while driving. I scared them this morning with that. But there's like a little image that pops up on my Apple Watch or my phone, and you follow the prompt and you breathe. Certain type of breaths, yoga breaths, whatever you want to do. And it's my minute and a half. And I stand up and I stretch and I walk around and I feel better. No matter what I'm doing, we can all give ourselves a minute. And we think a minute is so fast. Let me tell you, I'm like, is this thing done breathing yet? Like, I've been here for a long time. A minute's a long time when you're stressed too. So
it literally is. And we found that out this morning in our book club, didn't we?
We did.
When you closed your eyes.
We absolutely did. This one I'm really hot on. As you can probably tell, I'm working in my home office today. I'm usually in a market center or my market center office. Does your environment support you? I am not successful at home in my home office, which was really hard for me because I've worked from home for years. And coming out and having to have a family meeting where I sat everybody down who lives in this house and said, I am going to rent office space. I love you, but I'm no longer successful in this environment. One, you don't respect my boundaries and you come into my office when I'm working. But I outgrew my home space, and I'm a person who thrives off the market center energy, and I missed it. And I missed hearing you guys make phone calls, and I miss being, hey, Brooke, do you have a minute? Or jumping into the meetings. I really missed it. And that was a hard conversation to not only have with my regional support team, but also my family. And my husband said to me, you've never said to us what the expectations are when you're home. So we didn't know. And I was like, oh, my bad. Right? Like, so I wasn't setting them up with expectations. I also wasn't sharing my goals and what I was doing, the long plan, the short plan, the in-betweenies. So while my family doesn't understand a thing of what I do, and most people don't, they know I have goals, and I've shared those goals with them. And those goals included successful environments. So if you're working from home, are you set up where your back's not killing you? Are you always looking at your phone? Are you getting a hunchback? We don't want to be the KW hunchback agents from being over our devices like this. Are you noticing your body hurts? That you're less apt to pick up the phone because there's a laundry pile outside that door that's driving you nuts.
I really like, Brooke, that this goes into kind of the difference between your physical environment and your people environment. And they're both so incredibly important, and they're both very difficult sometimes to dictate. And I just really love, and I highlighted it. You are the gatekeeper, and you can control who you let into your world. Not everybody deserves a seat at the table in your life. And that was the most important thing in the past couple of years for me to realize personally, because I noticed that I was spending so much time doing things that I didn't want to do because other people wanted me there and to come out and play. Have you guys heard that you are basically the personality of the 5 people that you hang out with the most.
Yes, you're the sum of the 5 people you're close. Like,
there are a lot of
by
people
myself
out there that you don't want to be like. And there are a lot of people out there that sometimes you just need to sit them down and say, hey, I don't think that our relationship serves each other anymore, because time suckers, Brooke,
I know,
are a thing.
Vacuums.
Energy suckers are a thing. And I'm a very positive person. I'm also a realist. I had to divorce my husband because he was an energy sucker and he was a soul sucker, and everything was negative that came out of his mouth, and it was ruining my life. And I said, guess what? Do I want to be a 34-year-old divorcee? Of course not. Nobody does. But at the end of the day, I am the gatekeeper. I am the architect of my own life. And if I'm going to sit here and be like, oh, well, I'm allowing this person to suck my soul out of my body every day, shame on me. So it's interesting because I feel like I've had a lot of conversations with agents around this particular area of the book, and how difficult, but at the same time, incredibly beneficial it was for them to really take a step back and look at their current situation, either their physical environment or their people environment, and say, I need a change. But at the end of the day, if you're not letting those relationships go that are no longer serving you or really the other person, what is it even there for? And I'm not saying that you have to be in relationship with people just to get something out of it. That's not where I'm going. But I think you guys understand the sentiment and can probably identify a person or a few in your life that, you know, you leave a conversation or a lunch date or a coffee date with them and you feel exhausted. Listen to that. They always say, trust your gut. You've really got to listen to that. And I highlighted it. Don't forget who the architect is. I've got to remind myself of that on a very, very regular basis, because as a people pleaser, sometimes we say yes to things that we don't really want to do and that don't necessarily serve us. And why are we doing that?
Right, because we're trying to please the wrong person. You know, could you imagine if we just put ourselves first, not in a self-centric way, not in that, but just to say, is this in my 20%? How by doing this with this person, am I going to remove a task so that I don't have to do it anymore? You know, and that was something I had to do this week with our regional team. Is I have goals and I have things that I do, and we had to look at it and say, is this growing you? How does this grow you? How does this grow the region, the market center, the agent, right? And if it's not part of that growth plan, let's get rid of it. And that was hard. That was really hard to do. But it's also, it's noticeable on my energy, on what I have to do. I have given you guys, and it's okay to tell people you're lead genning. And on my website, I even give you a website. If you don't want to say, I'm sorry, I'm lead generating, I have one that's passive aggressive for you under Take 6 Hours Back a Week that says, please do not disturb lead generation in progress, because part of it is sometimes showing people the right things to do in the office. And I'm the type of person that has to time block my social time in the office to get up, walk around, say hello. And then my watch tells me, sit your buns back down and go to work.
But breathe first for a minute.
Don't breathe. The watch just told me to breathe. And I was like, no, I am tucking on classes. We are not breathing. So one of the ways we got to do that is we've got to take care of our energy. And Gary's big about energy, and I love that about him. Our office had the Miracle Morning for a long time when I was at Metro, and it's one of my favorite things to do. I've put the savers in the chat for you, the PDF, and a link to the book. But at the end of the day, it's a basic where you wake up.
I love savers. Sorry,
I love savers. So here's a pretty sign for you, because I have to put this up. This is up in every location I go to. But basically, it's a certain set of time, if you've never done this, around these things on the saver. So the first one is silence. This one's difficult for me. But waking up at 4 a.m. like I do all the time, silence is easy in the house because I'm not going to talk to myself. And well, I do, but it's in my head now because I don't want to wake up. One of the voices is talking to me, right? Then it's affirmations. I have 50 different affirmations I play with all the time. And every 6 months or so, I readjust my affirmations because they do need to change. I'm not going to scream I'm a money magnet to myself in the morning. It's just not who I am. But depending on what's going on, there are affirmations I like to choose from that help me move forward. The V is visualization. Whoops. And that's part of your goals and your tracking, right? If it's up, if that word is up, right? Action, focus, all those different words, if you see them constantly, it starts to be there. But visualize words. What does it look like to walk through your day today? E is exercise, which that's usually my favorite part. And I combine it with read. I'm that weirdo that will put my Kindle on my Ghetto-ton and I will pedal and read a book for 30, 35 minutes. Yeah. And then scribe, right? This is the one that Darlene's doing. She's using her book. She's writing goals, free writing, gratitude, other type of journaling. And this could take 15 minutes. It could take an hour. You decide how much time to put on each. They usually put a little more focus on reading and exercise, but it's your saver. You do what you want to do. And it goes around Gary's energy areas, right, Krista? Like
I get so passionate about this.
I know. I'm so glad you picked this one.
Because there's so much science behind all of this. This isn't just Gary Keller saying like, oh, this is what I've been doing and it worked for me. At the end of the book, I mean, it's like success story after success story after success story. And that's all well and good. There is so much science behind a positive mindset over even a neutral mindset in things of that nature, and using your energy in a positive way instead of a negative way, because we only have so much of it in a day. How are you going to use it? It's like a tank of gasoline. You can go anywhere you want, but you can only go so far on it. So where are you going to choose to go? I highlighted in here, the energy you have at your disposal, the fuel for your life, is determined by the choices you make. We talk about it every now and then, and I won't dwell on it too much, but chemically in your brain, when something happens to you, when there is an event, there is a 90-second period of time where you are forced into feeling either happiness, anger, rage, call it whatever emotion you will. But after those 90 seconds of that chemical kind of shift, call it, in your brain, the rest is your choice. You're choosing to stay angry. You're choosing to stay upset. Yes, that's easier said than done. And I understand that it takes time to work on things like that. But I feel like just knowing that is helpful, to be like, okay, it's 10 minutes later and I'm still upset. Why? What can I put into place to make this better or fix it or whatever? The choices you make are so important. You can choose to be happy. Sure, it's not that easy. You can choose to be successful. Sure, it's not that easy. But once you do make that decision, the rest is kind of gravy. We're reading a book literally that tells you how to be successful in real estate. Whether or not you choose to follow these models and these systems is on you. But here it is, like on a silver platter, right?
And he wrote the book because just like there's a warning on a coffee cup. There's a warning on a coffee cup at Starbucks because people have made a mistake. The book exists because the models work, the systems work. And if we follow them, it's why we talk about it over and over. And we talk about it because we renew ourselves through learning as well. One of the best gifts Keller Williams gave me in all of leadership this year was splitting mega leadership up and out of mega agent camp. For the first time in my Keller Williams career, I got to be a true student. And that doesn't happen very often in my world as a leader. We are often the ones making sure, looking around, are people okay? How's my recruit doing? Where do I have to be? What? Kiss the baby, shake the hands, right? I have to be on all the time. So I got the chance to be an absolute student. I didn't have to speak on stage, be on a panel, anything at Mega Leadership. And I am renewed. I came back and wrote courses, and that's my personality. I thrive on learning, because if you've heard my story, I wasn't given the chance to learn growing up. So as an adult, I love learning, and I love helping others learn.
I've got to ask if you're quoting the book. Because
Am I?
the portion that I highlighted.
Oh, well, yeah.
Learning
Oh,
is
that's
both
right. It is
empowering
under.
and energizing. And it says literally, it's also about renewal. I love that. Lifelong students of the industry. If you think you know it all, you're going to go out of business. Said with love.
Right. It's hard. Change is hard. Shifts are hard. The market is hard, but it's always going to be hard. And we can't plan for everything. But what we can do is just learn enough about as much as possible to make sure we know how to answer these questions, that we are having conversations. And always sharing that with others is true mastery. When you can turn around and speak about that skill or share that skill with someone else, you have become a true master of that. They always say teaching is mastery of a topic, right? You want to learn something fast? You want to teach a market center tech trainer the MREA? Throw them into Ignite and make them teach it, right? Throw anyone in this world into Ignite and ask them to teach it, and they will learn this industry quickly. But I love learning. It gives me energy. It gives me energy to sit with you guys, to hear your stories, and to take those stories and help others put better business into play. So let's go over Gary's energy plan, because it's only 5 things and he gets these things done before 11. So it's meditate or pray. It's exercise and eat, because yes, you should eat, and we should.
I'd like to interrupt you real quick if I could have the permission. I've been using the word nourish instead of eat recently. Yeah. And when I tell you that I feel so much better because I've been eating healthier foods, because I'm nourishing my body, not just going to McDonald's to get the spicy chicken sandwich with extra pickles because I have to eat something.
Yeah.
Those terms, the language that we use is so important. So I just had to throw that as a little nugget.
I have to write that down. I love that, because I smoothie every morning. I make my own smoothies. Like I can't eat. My stomach is like, no, what are you doing? We don't have 7 cups of coffee in us yet. We need caffeine, not food yet. But Nourish is great, because my mom calls me. She's like, did you eat breakfast yet, Brookie? And I'm like, no, Mom, I'm drinking my smoothie. That's not food. I'm like, if you saw what I put in my smoothies, you would be like, that is a salad in a shake.
You are nourishing.
But we are nourishing. So I love that. I'm adding that to my book. I love this one. Hug, kiss, and laugh. I love hugs. The region makes fun of me when we go on these big events that go to, family reunion, all these things. They're like, Brooke knows everyone and hugs everyone. She's patient zero. She's the reason like COVID exists, because you hug and kiss everyone. But I'm affectionate. Grew up in an affectionate family. I have a very affectionate spouse who lives for physical affection like that. And I will come into the market center and I will hug you. I'll hug the shit out of you. I'll squeeze you until you say, let me go, because I love.
Until you're like, I'm calling the police. This is actually assault.
And then, I love hugs. I'll get up on a chair and hug you if you're tall. There's pictures of me doing this. There's proof that these happen. Or just the laughter, right? And that's, again, why I'm back in the market center. Because even if I'm not a part of the conversation, hearing the laughter in the office or just the happiness that's happening at a closing lifts me right back up.
I just want to throw out there too. I mean, not everybody is touchy-feely and not everybody appreciates other people in their space and in their bubble. And that's totally fine if that's who you are. You can still gain a lot of that emotional energy just by practicing gratitude. Sometimes it sounds cheesy, but if you've done it, you know how powerful it is. So I like to coach our agents to not just say what you're grateful for, because I'm grateful for my sister. I'm grateful for her every day. So that's just a throwaway. I'm grateful for my nephew. That's a throwaway. I challenge you to find something in the last 24 hours, 3 things actually that you're grateful for. And I challenge you to write that down every single morning when you wake up. And if you need to refill your emotional energy cup, either call somebody or text them or email them and tell them how grateful you are to have them in your life. You're not going to hug them and kiss them because you're not a touchy-feely type of person. That's fine. But still expressing that love is so important, and it makes you feel just as good as the person receiving that.
I just posted in the chat a great book. I have it right here. It's called Infinite Giving. It's a quick read. Givers gain the most in this world. The other thing, I'm going to try to find it. It's a gratitude journal. I was gifted this. I have a hard time sometimes figuring out what I was grateful for when I first got here, before I was introduced to all these great things. And this gratitude journal was 5 minutes a day when I find it. And I'll post it in the group so we don't waste time. But it's one thing to be grateful, but it's, God, when you tell someone else, or you write a note, or you send a text message, or how you thank people. If you've ever heard Mr. Thank You and his philosophies on how you properly thank someone with gratitude, you feel so good. Especially when you can physically see reactions. Like, I'm sure, Krista, when you send me a text message, you can probably see my little face imagining it on the screen, right? Like, you know how excited I am.
I hope that you are. Yeah.
Oh, I always am. I see your name pop up and I'm like, ooh, right? Because I know you only reach out when there's something that needs to be dealt with or helped or done. So, or you want to send me something silly, like a picture of your dog. So I appreciate those things. But when you give, you get so much back. And it's such a wonderful thing on the world, to throw that out there. So Infinite Giving is the book I love on that. Let's see. Then he plans in calendars. If I didn't have a Google Calendar to tell me where to be with my watch, and I set up reminders the day before, an hour before, 5 and 10 minutes before, to tell me to move to where I have to be, because I will get so absorbed teaching or in a class that I need that vibrate on my wrist, or I need it to pop up on my screen to say, Brooke, you're supposed to be moving on to something else. And Gary always says, if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. I calendar lunch every day. Same. And I do not. I calendar block for emergent and catch up, where I literally sit here. I don't eat ketchup. I catch up on the day, and I brain dump everything out so that when I leave my office for the day, I have left work behind, and I don't have those moments at 2 a.m. where I'm up anymore going, oh crap, did I do that? Did I remind myself to do that? Do I have a task for that? It's also why smart plans are so magical.
I love, Brooke, to color code my calendar like crazy. My time blocks for certain things, call it, for like my agent appointments are red. If I'm out on the road, it's purple. Pink for personal. If I have it, like lunch is pink. I do have to time block for my lunch as well. Anything that I'm doing in my life just for me is pink. I have blues, I have oranges for trainings and classes and things of that nature. So if you guys are time blocking, which you should be, I would also challenge you to color code the things, so you really have a good idea in your brain of exactly which direction your day is going to be going in.
Here's that. I found that 90-day gratitude. I'm putting it in the chat. It was a 90-day gratitude journal. Easy. And I don't write in the book. For this one, I have a separate notebook. And then around mid-January, I pick it back up every year. This is my 3rd year doing it. And it's fun to find my last year's notebook and find what I was grateful for after. I'll go back and read it and go, well, that's fascinating. And then he lead generates. That's his 5th thing. That's his business energy. So the meditate is your spiritual, or pray is your spiritual. Exercise and nourish is your physical. Hug, kiss, and laugh, or however you gain that, is your emotional energy. However you get that. Maybe it's playing with your dog outside and throwing the ball for 10 minutes. Planning calendar. That's your mental energy. That's that. I'm gonna download everything out of my brain so that way I can focus on the tasks in front of me. And then lead generate. That's your business energy. And lead generation looks different for all of us based on our personalities or how we like to do business, or what we're doing this year to get out of our comfort zones. But those are the 5 ways Gary does make sure that he is emotionally energized for every single day. And he is a stickler for these things. If you've ever heard him speak, he talks about somebody wanted to meet with him, but it was the day he was going to have lunch at his son's school, and he was not missing that. And it was the only time the person could meet. And he said, fine, come have lunch with me and my son at the school. If you want to be there, if you want to meet with me, this is how you do it. And we're not allowed to talk business, by the way. Right. So I love that, because the important thing for him that day was making sure that he was at his son's school.
I love Brooke, that he does all of this by 11 in the morning. And I love that kind of in the first paragraph down, it says that those early hours of intense focus tend to pull me through the rest of the day. You can get so much going that it takes the whole afternoon just to wrap things up. That's positive energy creating amazing momentum in your life. And it's true. Once you get rolling on doing all of those things and you're feeling happy and you're feeling positive and things are going great for you, you feel like you're on top of the world. So that's why when he gets to number 5 to lead generate for his business energy, he's already completely energized, completely excited, super happy, super positive. So those phone calls are going to go better for him.
They are. And he knows how he likes to lead generate, and he knows what his focus is. So he's excited to get in and do those things.
I want to just share something real quick. And I know I keep kind of bouncing back and forth, but the reason why I'm so passionate about this particular page, even number 308, is because this energy plan and putting yourself in a good mindset. Earlier, I was talking about the science behind it, and I just want to quickly read a couple of sentences to you guys because it's very, very real scientifically. Negative emotions narrow your thoughts in range of actions. They talk a lot about how to broaden and build. So instead of narrowing our actions down to fight or flight as negative emotions do, positive emotions broaden the amount of possibilities we process, making us more thoughtful, creative, and open to new ideas. When positive emotions broaden our scope of cognition and behavior, they not only make us more creative, they help us build more intellectual, social, and physical resources we can rely on in the future. So biological broadening, I really challenge you guys to look into this a little bit more. When positive emotions flood our brain with dopamine and serotonin, it not only makes you feel good, but also dials up the learning centers of your brain to higher levels. This helps organize new information, keep that information in your brain longer, and retrieve it faster due to more neural connections in your brain. So they also assist in thinking quickly, creatively, becoming more skilled at complex analysis and problem solving, and seeing/inventing new ways of doing things. So this is what's so powerful for me. Our mood changes how our visual cortex, the part of our brain responsible for sight, processes information. So literally, when you're working on these 5 things on page 308, your spiritual energy, your physical energy, you're not just doing that for fun. You're doing that because when you're in that mindset, when you're in a positive mindset, you literally can see more. And if you're seeing more possibilities, you're going to be more creative on how to go out and get more listings or how to, better take care of your buyers and things like that. So working on these 5 really energy restoring techniques is so important for your business, and lead generation is included. So it's going to force you to really get on the phone.
But you're excited at that point. And I'll say this, right? Just like how energy works in the world, negative forces things apart. Positive pulls things together in a magnetic field, right? You positively pulling the things to you. The same thing's going to happen with how you're feeling that day. So wake up every day and charge those batteries, right? Picture your gas tank, right? What am I doing to make sure that everything stays full and not empty? And if we see, well, I'm backwards on this, right? If we see that we're starting to dip down into empty, what are we going to do to recharge that? But more important, who's going to help hold us accountable when they're seeing those things as well? How are we going to map those goals? How are we going to write it down? But more importantly, how are we going to give ourselves grace in those moments that is a moment and not a career or a bad life? And right? We're allowed to have a bad moment or a bad day, but it's not a bad life and it's not a bad career. And it is certainly not a defining point in who we are in this world. Wow. Krista, I would love to teach this with you every single time, because this is something I'm so big on. I love making sure we take care of the whole agent. You are more than your sales. You are more than the number of times you pick up the phone and call people, the amount of smart plans you deploy or contacts sitting in your database and their health score. We love you so much. We want to see you grow. We want to see you hit your goals, right? And we want to see you do that for yourself and not against someone else in this industry. We hope you have loved this series with us. I can't wait. I can't announce it yet, but we have some big things coming for you guys over the next few quarters for classes, for guests. And of course, you're stuck with me for the long haul of that, and so many of our team leaders and assistant team leaders. Thank you guys so much. Krista, thank you so much for taking this wrap-up session.
I love you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to open the session and close it out. I was very excited to do number 1 and whichever one this one is, the last session, just to say hello and goodbye to everybody. So thank you guys so much for coming along for this ride. I can't wait to do it again. We have 1 more minute. If anybody wants to share any like groundbreaking, life-changing, business altering, gold nuggets that you found in this, or something that you're going to take away with you in, like, even moving into the weekend, something that you're going to implement to better your life or your career, or help somebody else to do just that. Anybody? I personally have been slacking on my gratitude daily. So I'm going to be working on that, especially this weekend. I think that we all have so much to be grateful for every single day. And I think it's a real shame that there are so many people that can't see it. So I challenge you to really work on this energy plan on page 308, because just doing those things will set you up for so much success in your career and in your personal life as well. I think. My 2 cents.
Krista, I'll add really quick. This is Laura. Hi, guys.
Hey.
I found this really great. I do not take any time for myself, and that's something I really need to do. I am one of those that works, answers the phone at 11 o'clock from a client. I have to say, I have to stop doing that. My husband feels it's very annoying. He's like, oh, why do you keep taking these calls? And so I do need to change that. So that's something I took away from here.
Laura, I love that. And thank you so much for chiming in. I think it's really important for other people to hear you say things like that, because I feel like we all, and we talked about it earlier, we all get into this mode of work. If you're not working, it's like you feel guilty because you're doing something else instead. Setting those expectations with your clients up front will change your life. With very small exception, there is no such thing as an emergency in real estate. I'm sorry. I've seen a couple of things here and there over my 9 years. So things happen, but at the end of the day, somebody calling you at 11, what are you going to do? My financing didn't come through. Can't call the bank about it. The appraisal's too low. Can't call another appraisal for a second opinion on it. So I really, honestly, my life changed when I was in production, when I first started telling people, and it was difficult for me to do, to say, you know what, you have a family, right? Even if it's me and my dog. I'm a single homeowner and I have an 8-pound dog. I spend time with my family after 7:30. If you have an emergency after 7:30, call me 3 times in a row and I'll answer, if I can, of course. But at the end of the day, typically things can wait till the next day. I found myself so many times taking a call and shutting off the stove halfway through cooking dinner. What? That's not okay. Something as simple as cooking myself a meal, I wasn't allowing myself to do, because work, business comes first. They're my clients. I work for them. And if I don't pick up the phone, maybe they'll fire me. No, they won't. As long as you set those expectations at the beginning, I promise you, your life will change. Because you're worth it. You're allowed to take time for yourself. You're allowed to cook dinner, right? Anybody else want to chime in before we take off for the day? Well, I really appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for investing in yourselves, in your career. I know that you could be anywhere else in the world right now. And the fact that you're here with me, it really humbles me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Brooke. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.